After 8 hours of battling Michigan snow, my arthritic hands gripped the steering wheel so tight they were numb. My joints screamed with every mile, but nothing could stop me from spending Christmas with my daughter, Ashley, the gift bags in. The back seat slid around with every turn: scarves, art books, things I had carefully chosen, each one a symbol of how much she and her husband meant to me. When I pulled up, Ashley's house glowed in the darkness. Twinkling red and gold lights draped the porch, just like the year I helped her hang them when Howard claimed his back was acting up again. My chest warmed. This was worth it. Family was worth it. I raised my hand to knock, then froze. Through the door, Ashley's voice drifted out, sharp and cold. "I honestly hope he doesn't make it." Laughter followed. Howard's deeper tone chimed in. "Come on, that's your dad." But he wasn't defending me, he was entertained. Ashley chuckled. Just one Christmas without him hovering, handing us money, pushing those awful sugar cookies. For once, no guilt trips about family. Howard added, always reminding us how he sacrificed everything, sold his business, poured his life into us like we asked him to. The words pierced deeper than the icy wind. I had stood there for 30 seconds, maybe less, but it felt like a lifetime. The Christmas music inside, silver bells, suddenly sounded like mockery. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley lit the screen. "Drive safe if you're coming." "Dad, weather looks rough." She sent that while laughing at the thought of me never arriving. The gifts in my car felt like insults now. Hundreds of thousands spent over the years. Her house, Howard's art supplies, their car payments, the wedding I fully funded. Every sacrifice, every late night, every penny worthless. Quietly, I stepped back. My boots crunched in the snow, but no one noticed. I slid into my car, the cold metal burning my hands, and drove away. No dramatic exits, no spinning tires, just silence. In my rearview mirror, the Christmas lights grew smaller and smaller until they disappeared. For the first time in 15 years, I had nowhere to be. The radio played, "I'll be home for Christmas." I reached out and shut it off. Silence felt better. By the time I reached my street, the shock had hardened into something colder. My house stood quiet under weak Christmas lights. Inside, the silence no longer felt temporary, it felt final. I set my heavy coat on the rack and walked past the untouched gifts by the door. My study welcomed me with its familiar leather and old paper smell. Awards, contracts, photographs of my business success lined the walls, reminders of the life I had once built before giving it all away. I opened the filing cabinet, spreading documents across the desk like a general preparing for battle. My will, drafted last spring, named Ashley as my sole beneficiary. My hands lingered on the papers. A new thought formed. Maybe it was time to rewrite everything, not just my will, but my life. My life insurance policy, $2 million. Sole beneficiary, Ashley Green Wilson. Bank statements told their own story. September, $3,000 transfer for Ashley's car repair. October, $5,000 for their roof. November, $2,500 for Howard's art supplies every month for 3 years. Before that, a $75,000 down payment on their house. A $40,000 wedding. $20,000 for student loans. I opened a calculator. By the time I finished adding, the number reached $280,000. Lifetime of sacrifice handed to a daughter who laughed at the thought of me not making it to Christmas. Memories hit like cold wind. Ashley, fresh out of college, crying in my kitchen. About debt, I erased it with a check. Ashley, engaged, worried about a down payment. I wired the money before she finished asking. Ashley, just last month, pleading over the phone that Howard's art wasn't selling. Another transfer. Another excuse. They never intended to stand on their own. Why would they, when I made it so easy to lean? For the first time in years, my mind sharpened. This wasn't grief anymore. It was strategy. Ashley didn't just want me gone from Christmas, she wanted me gone, period. I pulled out my lawyer's number, Richard Morrison, estate planning. One call would rewrite everything: my will, my trust, my legacy. My thumb hovered over his name, but I stopped. Not yet. Christmas morning came with silence, no calls, no plans. I sat at my desk with my coffee, documents still spread like a battlefield. At 10:17 a.m., my phone lit up. Ashley's name, Dad. She said, her voice carefully tuned with concern. "We were so worried when you didn't show up. Are you okay?" I let her wait 3 beats before answering. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I should have called sooner. I had an accident." Her panic spiked. "What? Are you hurt? Nothing serious?" Ice on Miller Road by the old church, slid into the guardrail. The hospital kept me overnight, mild concussion. Ashley gasped on cue. "Oh my goodness, Dad, why didn't you call?" "We could have come to the hospital. I didn't want to ruin your Christmas Eve." Howard's voice came through faintly in the background. Then louder on speaker, "Terrible news, sir. Is your car totaled?" "Not. Are you okay?" "Not. Do you need help?" "Is the car totaled?" "It's drivable," I said evenly. "But damaged." Ashley jumped back in. "Well, the important thing is you're safe. We should reschedule Christmas dinner for next week." The pause before that line lasted exactly 3 seconds too long. Relief disguised as concern. After I hung up, I leaned back in my chair and smiled. They had passed their test exactly as I expected by failing it. Not once did they insist on coming over. Not once did they ask what I truly needed. Just quick relief that their Christmas wasn't interrupted, and that I wasn't expecting them to care. I wrote everything down, their words, their tone, the pauses. Proof. The beauty of my accident was its simplicity. Miller Road really was treacherous. Everyone knew the old church curve was dangerous. If they ever tried to verify, they'd find it perfectly believable. And now I had what I needed, not just evidence, but clarity. The week after New Year dragged by, each day sharpening my resolve. I spent hours mapping every financial tie between myself and Ashley, 15 years of dependency, all documented in neat columns of numbers. By Thursday, I was sitting in Robert Mitchell's office, the same Victorian building where I had secured Ashley's future a dozen times before. Only this time I wasn't here to protect her. "Ernest, good to see you," Robert said warmly. "Ashley mentioned your accident. Are you all right?" Of course she had. Painting me as a burden to anyone who would listen. I nodded. Much better. "But the accident gave me clarity. I need to change my will." Robert raised an eyebrow. "That's significant. What kind of change?" I slid a folder across his desk. "Remove Ashley as the primary beneficiary. Transfer everything to the Great Lakes Animal Welfare Foundation." For a long moment, the room was silent. Robert leaned back, studying me. "That's a major decision. You've spent years securing Ashley's future. May I ask what's prompted this?" "Loyalty," I said simply. "Animals don't lie. They don't hope you disappear on Christmas Eve." He hesitated, but I could see he understood. Within the hour, the documents were signed, witnessed, and sealed. My estate, the house, the accounts, the retirement funds, all redirected. For the first time in years, I felt completely in control, but the will was only the beginning. Friday morning, I walked into First National Bank with a folder under my arm. Janet, my longtime banker, smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Green. How can I help you today?" "I need to close the joint checking account with my daughter," I said, placing the papers on her desk, "and cancel all automatic transfers. Effective immediately." Her smile faltered. "Of course, sir." "May I ask if something—" "Just updating my affairs," I cut in smoothly. "It's time my resources went where they'll be appreciated." By that afternoon, the monthly $3,000 lifeline Ashley had relied on for rent, groceries, and Howard's so-called art supplies had vanished the next day. At 2:17 p.m., my phone lit up. "Ashley." "Dad," she said, voice tight with confusion. "My card was declined at the store." I took a slow sip of coffee, letting the silence stretch before answering. The first domino had fallen. At first, I let the calls go to voicemail. "Dad, there must be some mistake with the bank. They said the account is closed. Can you call me back?" "Howard's getting frustrated. We need groceries." An hour later. "Dad, the rent is due next week. What's going on?" By nightfall, I'd collected 7 messages, each one more desperate than the last. Confusion gave way to panic, and in the background, Howard's voice sharpened from annoyance to accusation. This is your fault, Ashley. You must have said something to set him off. I told you to be more careful. By Sunday there were 11 more. Howard had stormed out drunk, returned angrier, and was now blaming her for everything. Ashley's voice cracked. Dad, I don't understand. The bank won't tell me anything. My insurance isn't working either, please. What? Did we do wrong? The irony was exquisite. 2 weeks of mocking me at Christmas, and she still couldn't fathom why the ground was collapsing beneath her feet. Monday's message was different, steadier, determined. Dad, I'm coming over. Noon, we need to talk face to face. Good, the timing was perfect. But before that conversation, I had other moves to make. Tuesday, I sat at a library, computer anonymous, untraceable, and opened the IRS whistleblower page. Howard Wilson. Cash-only art sales at Detroit Farmers Market. 3 years of undeclared. Income, $15.20K annually. Dates, details, everything. Wednesday, I moved to creditors. Cold, professional notifications. Change in financial circumstances. Loss of cosigner support. Risk reassessment recommended. By Thursday, the first letters had arrived at their mailbox. By Friday night, I drove past their house. Through the living room window, Ashley's pacing shadow, Howard's rigid stance. Crisis mode activated. Saturday morning, her voice cracked. On voicemail, Dad, the IRS is auditing Howard. They know about the cash sales. Credit card companies want full payment. Please, we need help. In the background, Howard hissed. This started the moment he cut us off. He's behind this. They were learning, slowly. Sunday brought the inevitable suspicion. Ernest, Howard's voice growled. We know it's you. Nobody else knew about my sales. You're trying to destroy us. Ashley interrupted, wavering. Howard, that's crazy. Dad wouldn't, but even she didn't sound convinced. And then my favorite message of all. Dad, Ashley said, voice steadier now. We get it. You're punishing us. Whatever we did, we'll fix it. But you can't just destroy our lives without telling us why. Exactly what I've been waiting for. The entitled child reduced to a supplicant. The illusion shattered. By Monday, I was ready for the next phase. Financial ruin was only the beginning. Reputation would finish the lesson, 15 years of watching. Ashley's networks had paid off her salon co-workers, her book club, Howard's Farmers Market peers. I knew where to plant the seeds. Back at the library, I created new email accounts. Concerned client. Neighbor on Maple, Business Watch, each one carefully crafted, each with its own voice. To her salon manager. I've noticed Ashley seems distracted. There are rumors about financial trouble. I'm worried it may affect her work quality. 2. The neighborhood Facebook group. Has anyone else noticed all the official mail piling up at the Wilsons? Hope it's not the kind of problem that affects property values. Within hours, the whispers started. Neighbors remembered arguments. Someone mentioned a car repossession. A small fire became a blaze. Ashley and Howard had wanted independence. Now they had it. In its purest, most merciless form, Saturday brought. The beauty salon fallout. At 2 p.m., Ashley's voice cracked through my voicemail, taut with confusion. Dad, something weird is happening at work. 3 clients canceled today, and Sarah asked if I was going through something. How does everyone know about our problems? We haven't told anyone. By Sunday, the neighborhood responded exactly as planned. I drove past their house at dusk, watching Ashley collect mail, Mrs. Henderson her friendly. Next-door confidant for years saw her, paused, then walked briskly inside without a word. The message was unmistakable. Pariah status activated. Monday shifted the salon dynamics. Ashley's next voicemail carried panic disguised as confusion. Dad, Linda wants to discuss my future with the salon. She says clients are worried my personal situation is affecting the business. I don't understand how this happened so fast. Howard's anger frothed by Tuesday. His voice thundered through the phone. This is coordinated, Ernest. Someone is spreading this systematically. Ashley lost 3 more clients, and the market coordinator told me to take a break from selling. Who else knows about our tax problems? By Wednesday, the isolation was total. Ashley's message broke under its weight. Dad, no one will talk to me. The grocery cashier was cold. The mailman won't look me in the eye. Someone posted about financially unstable residents in the neighborhood app. I've never been unwelcome in my life. Until now, this isn't normal. This is deliberate. Thursday delivered the killing blow. Ashley's salon manager formally terminated her employment, officially citing client retention concerns. Though everyone knew the real reason, her voicemail that night quivered. Dad, I lost my job. Linda says my situation is hurting the salon's reputation. Howard's talking about leaving Detroit, maybe going to his brother in Cleveland. Please, I don't understand how everything collapsed so fast. The beauty of social pressure was its apparent organic inevitability. Each person believed they were acting individually, responsibly. The accumulation felt natural, unstoppable, yet every thread had been stitched by my hand. Ashley couldn't even see the design. Friday evening, the call came, hollow, defeated. Dad, I know you're listening. Howard's packing. He says I'm toxic now, ruining his reputation. I have no income, no friends, no support system. Whatever lesson you're teaching, I'm learning it. Please, call me back. Howard's voice cut in, ragged with desperation. Ernest, you win. We get it, we're powerless without you. But this isn't punishment anymore, it's systematic destruction. If you want terms, we're ready to listen. Terms. Finally, the word I had waited for. This was no tantrum. It was a negotiation. Saturday morning, their car pulled into my driveway. Through the glass, I watched them argue in low, frantic tones before forcing themselves to the front door. Ashley looked pale, desperate, nothing like the smug woman who once laughed at my cookies and guilt trips. Howard looked older, beaten, his easy confidence replaced with dread. I opened the door before they could knock. Dad! Ashley's voice broke. I stepped aside, letting them enter. The air hung heavy with the silence of two people who finally understood what it meant to have nothing. Howard's voice snapped first, hot with anger, but hollow underneath. Everything fell apart right after Christmas. Right after your so-called accident. But your car's been in the driveway every time. You've been here the whole time, haven't you? Ashley's voice shook. We called every hospital. No record of you. You weren't in an accident. I let the silence stretch and the realization dawned on her face. You were there, she whispered, eyes widening. You heard us that night. Howard barked. What the hell is she talking about? Ashley stared at me with horror, the puzzle pieces locking into place. You heard us laughing about you. Hoping you wouldn't make it through the snow, you left because of us? That's why everything fell apart. Her words trembled with the truth she could no longer deny. She saw it now, every bank closure, every IRS letter, every cold shoulder from the neighbors, deliberate, precise, personal. I didn't answer. Sometimes silence speaks louder than any confession. Ashley's voice dropped to a whisper, stripped of all defense. You destroyed our lives. And for the first time in her life, she understood that I didn't need to raise my voice, explain, or even speak at all. My silence was the verdict. Ashley's voice cracked through the air, trembling with panic. Dad, no. You don't understand, but I did understand. I understood everything. You wished I wouldn't make it through that. Blizzard, I said, calm but firm, each word like a hammer. You laughed about it. You and Howard both. And I stood there in the cold, with Christmas gifts in my hands, listening to my own daughter joke about how nice it would be if her father didn't survive the drive. Do you have any idea what that feels like? Her face turned ashen. The tears streaming down her cheeks seemed to freeze in place as the reality of what I'd just reminded her of sank in. That was just stupid talk, she whispered, her voice shaking. We didn't mean it, Dad. It wasn't serious. I leaned forward, my voice low, but sharp enough to cut through any excuse. Some words, Ashley, once spoken, can't be taken back. And that night, you showed me exactly how much I mattered to you. 15 years of sacrifice, 15 years of believing I was a father worth loving, and it all crumbled in a single laugh. Her shoulders shook as she tried to hold herself together. Dad, please, I was wrong. I know I hurt you. But you can't just erase me from your life. You're all I have left. If you walk away from me now, then I really have nothing. For the first time, her words weren't polished or manipulative. This wasn't the Ashley who could talk her way out of anything. This was raw, desperate honesty. The mask was gone, and what was left was just a broken woman. Terrified of being truly alone, I stayed silent, letting the weight of the moment press down on her. She searched my face, waiting for some hint of forgiveness, some crack in the wall I had built. Finally, I spoke. Do you remember Christmas Eve? She blinked, confused. Of course. You called to say you'd been in an accident. No, I said firmly. Before that, do you remember what you and Howard were talking about before I called? Her expression faltered. The color drained from her face, and I could see the memory trying to resurface, dragging her somewhere she didn't want to go. I don't remember exactly. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I had been waiting for this moment. I scrolled to a file I'd labeled December 24th and set it on the coffee table between us. Let me refresh your memory. I pressed play. Ashley's voice filled the room clear, sharp, unmistakable. I honestly hope he doesn't make it. Her eyes widened in horror. Howard's voice followed, casual, mocking. Come on, that's your dad. Ashley again. I know, but look at this weather. Maybe the roads will be too bad. We could have just one Christmas without him hovering, asking if we need money, bringing those awful sugar cookies. The laughter that followed was like acid in the air, her own laughter. I didn't take my eyes off her face as the recording continued. Howard's voice chimed in again, agreeing. The old man does lay it on thick. Always talking about his sacrifices, how he sold his business for you, like we asked him to. Then I stopped the recording. Ashley sat frozen, staring at the phone, like it had just poisoned her. You were there? She stammered, her voice barely audible. I was standing outside your door, I said, my voice steady, holding Christmas gifts, ready to celebrate with the family I thought loved me. And instead, I heard my only daughter wish for a holiday where I didn't exist. Her body shook as the weight of those words hit her. She looked like a child again, scared, small, powerless. Dad. No, she cried, reaching toward me, her hands trembling. I didn't mean it. I was just being stupid, careless. Please, you have to believe me. But there was nothing left to believe. I stood, slowly, letting the silence hang between us. Some betrayals you don't come back from, Ashley. Some wounds don't heal, and this one ended everything. Her tears turned into sobs, raw and uncontrollable. Please, I'll change. I'll do anything. Just tell me how to fix this. I looked at her one last time, sitting there in the same chair where she'd once unwrapped presents with joy, now crumbling under the truth she couldn't escape. That's something you'll have to figure out yourself, I said quietly and walked away, leaving her with nothing but her own words echoing in her ears. I looked Ashley straight in the eye. You say I don't understand? I told her. No, I understand perfectly. I understood that night. And, I've understood every single day since. Her sobs shook her whole body, but I didn't let her speak. That conversation, those words showed me exactly what our relationship meant to you. What I meant to you, she tried to protest, her voice breaking. Those were just words. People say things they don't mean when they're stressed. I was tired Howard was being difficult, but I cut her off. No, Ashley. Those weren't just words. That was the truth slipping out. That was the real you, telling the world exactly how you felt about your father. The man who sacrificed everything for you. The man who built his entire life around your happiness. The man who drove through a blizzard because he thought his daughter wanted him there. Her mouth opened, but I kept going. Everything that's happened since that night, your financial struggles, your social isolation, Howard walking out, losing your job, every single bit of it happened because I finally understood what you really thought of me. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but I wasn't finished teaching her. Not yet. 6 months passed after that confrontation, and in those months, I found something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The Great Lakes Animal Welfare Foundation didn't just become the place I left my inheritance, it became my purpose. 3 mornings a week, I volunteered at their shelter. Dogs who wagged their tails with genuine joy when I walked in. Cats who purred just because someone bothered to notice them. These animals didn't lie. They didn't calculate. They didn't betray. They just appreciated kindness when it was given. Then, on a Tuesday morning exactly 6 months after Ashley sat in my living room, forced to hear her own cruel words, an envelope arrived. Her handwriting. Different now, stronger. I opened it slowly. Dear Dad, it began. I don't expect you to respond to this letter. I'm not asking for money or forgiveness or even reconciliation. I just wanted you to know how this year has changed me. She explained that she worked full-time at a grocery store now. 40 hours a week, on her feet, cleaning, dealing with customers. She said it was the first time in her life she truly understood what earning meant. She lived in a small apartment, one she paid for herself. Howard hadn't come back, and she admitted she was glad. For the first time, she was standing on her own 2 feet, and then came the part that caught my breath. I know about the will. Dad, Mr. Morrison told me when I tried to contest it. He explained that you'd already changed everything back. In January, before I even realized how much I depended on you, I understand now that even when I thought I had a safety net, I didn't. You were teaching me to fly without knowing it. And I finally learned. She wrote that she could never take back those cruel words, but she wanted me to know she had changed. That she wasn't the same person anymore. The letter didn't ask to meet. It didn't beg for reconciliation. It was just her truth. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. I felt no need to respond. The lesson had been taught. The lesson had been learned. That was enough. That afternoon, I drove to the shelter as usual. The dogs recognized my car by now. Their barks of excitement echoed as I walked in. I followed my routine, checking food bowls, refilling water, spending time with the animals who had been there the longest. And then there was Charlie, a scarred, graying German Shepherd mix. 6 months in the shelter, nobody wanted him. But every time I walked past his kennel, he was there, loyal, watching, following me with those eyes. When I sat down, he rested his head on my lap. No conditions, no demands. Just trust. You're a good boy, Charlie, I whispered, scratching behind his ears. His tail thumped against the floor, steady and content. That's what real love looks like. Not bought, not forced. Not tied to a bank account, just loyalty. I'd already started the paperwork to adopt him. At 63 years old, I was ready. Ready to share my home with someone who understood what loyalty really meant. And as I walked back to my car that evening, I thought again about Ashley's letter. She had learned. She had grown. She had finally discovered the difference between taking and earning, between demanding and appreciating. Sometimes people only find themselves after they've lost everything, and I had no regrets, because justice isn't always gentle, but it is always fair.